Today I'm going to tell you about my exact story, how I went from a construction worker to now being 21 years old, traveling the world, making stupid money online. My name's Finn, and for the first 18 years of my life, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had one of the best childhoods growing up. I lived in a nice area. My parents always supported me with whatever I wanted to do, as long as I gave it my best, which made it super easy to be comfortable. I didn't need to be successful. I knew that whatever I chose to do in my life, I'd always be comfortable. It wasn't until I was 18 and I had a mindset shift where I truly found what I was passionate about. Building and scaling businesses that have an impact on the world and inspiring people to do just the same thing. But I also loved being creative. I knew that although I loved business, I had to bring my creativity into it. That's why videography was the perfect catalyst to getting me to where I wanted to go. I never had a hard childhood, so it made being successful completely my own decision. I had nothing that was really driving me to do that, so unknowingly, I put myself into a position that forced me to chase success. I feel like if I didn't go into a construction work and I decided to go to university, I would not be where I am today. Why? Because I'd simply be too comfortable in university and my situation wouldn't be bad enough to make a change. Let's go back to the start. When I was 18, fresh out of high school, I started full-time as a construction worker. I fucking hated it. Digging holes, being at the bottom of the food chain, and worst of all, building someone else's dream. But how did I actually get there? It's because I decided to take the lazy route. I simply chose the easy path. When it came to my closing years of high school, I didn't put enough time, effort, or thought into what I actually wanted to do and had zero ambition, so I ended up as a construction worker. I simply wasn't bothered to take the time to figure out what I was truly passionate about. I wasn't the best in school, but I also wasn't the worst. I always had the ability to focus on something and I would get a good result, except I never found anything that I was truly passionate about until I stumbled across business. During high school, I felt lost. I fell into the societal norms and decided to become a construction worker. It wasn't until I was at the bottom of the barrel and doing the worst job I possibly could, which forced me to make a change. I made my situation so uncomfortable that I had no other choice but to find what I was really passionate about. But looking back, it was a blessing in disguise. I don't think I would be in the place I am today if I didn't decide to go into construction, and it showed me exactly what I don't want to do for the rest of my life. But best of all, it lit a fire inside me. I knew I had to make a change, and I knew this wasn't the path for me. I was destined for so much more. But I only came to this realization 6 months into the job. I stumbled across Iman Gadji, and for the very first time in my life, I felt motivated to be successful. I soon realized I needed to make a change. So I started my first side hustle, video editing. And just by the luck of the draw, my first ever client was a big influencer based in Australia. And having that one opportunity kickstarted everything for me. Even though I was only making $20 an hour video editing, it opened up a huge network for me. It was when I got the first taste of the power of networking and how important it is to becoming a successful entrepreneur. Within just 3 months, I was making $5,000 a month from editing on top of my construction work income. That put me at about $7,000 a month as an 18-year-old. That's more money than I'd seen in my entire life. But I was also working the hardest I had in my entire life. And to be completely honest, I had no love for either of the work, but I just knew editing was taking me further to where I wanted to go, which was to be a successful entrepreneur who builds businesses that make an impact. I would work on a construction site from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then work on my online business from 3:30 p.m. to 10 p.m., 6 days a week. It was hard work, but I fucking loved it. A few months after that, I decided to start a social media agency with one of my homies. He was still finding his way too after school, so it was the perfect time to team up. After 2 months of hard work, we landed our very first client for $1,000 a month. Of course, we were on top of the world, but we knew we were only just getting started. The very next day, I walked onto site and told my boss, that was it, I'm quitting.
Lost every day.
By the time I quit my construction job at the end of 2022, our agency had grown by 4 clients and was bringing in over $8,000 a month. Moving into the new year, I needed a new spark. So I decided to get my very first mentor in January 2023, Caleb Coronos. He's taught me everything I know about using a camera and how to make good content. Best of all, he was my very first entrepreneurial friend who had the same values, was striving for the same goals, and we were able to work together. During the first 2 months of the year, I invested over $20,000 into courses, mentors, and equipment with hopes to get better at these high income skills. That was essentially all the money I had saved up from working my construction job. I had next to no money in my bank account, but knew I had all the tools to pave my way to success. During this time, I was also building my networking and business skills, all through freelance content creation for influencers and entrepreneurs. And after 3 months of building my agency and working as a freelance content creator, my biggest opportunity came. A new potential agency client that offered us the chance to manage the social media for over 150 venues all across Australia. To put that into perspective, at the time, our current 5 clients were 5 different hospitality venues. This deal would have taken us from $8,000 a month to over $150,000 a month at only 19 years old. And this would all practically happen overnight. We were ecstatic, but we stayed composed. We booked a trip to Melbourne to seal the deal, but just days before leaving, we got an email with notice that the deal had fallen through. And the worst part, it was completely out of our control. And at the same time, we also lost one of our highest paying clients. This set us back to $4,000 per month, and I was at the lowest point I'd been in a long time. But setbacks are a part of the journey. If being successful wasn't a gamble, it wouldn't be worth it. We stayed focused and got back to work. 8 months later, we brought on 6 new clients, taking our revenue up to $15K a month. To celebrate, we booked a business trip to Bali for a month. That trip was a game changer, not just for our business, but for our mindset and dipping our toes into what it's like to travel the world and make money online. But soon we had to get back to our home base, Sydney, Australia. Not long after getting back, we hit one of our biggest goals to date. We moved out of home. At only 19 years old, my best friend and business partner and myself moved into a 2-story studio apartment in the Sydney city. Come January 2024, we hit the ground running, but we had slow growth. By mid-2024, we were only doing about $20,000 per month. Growth was fluctuating up and down, but we kept showing up. During this time, I hit my very first 10K month from freelance content creation, and I discovered the leverage behind content creation. You have to target the right clients. These are high value people like entrepreneurs and influencers that have a higher perceived value in the work you deliver them. This was the key to success in my industry. It led me to opportunities like networking with Tai Lopez and traveling all around the world completely free. In May 2024, we hired a sales and client acquisition agency to try level up our business. And within 2 months, we hit our very first 30K month, which essentially doubled our monthly revenue. Fast forward to today, our agency is still running strong in the background, bringing in $30,000 a month, but we are now chasing an even bigger dream, inspiring and teaching people how to do what I did. This was my entire journey from 18 to 21 years old, showing you how I found success online from being an entrepreneur who prioritized high value skills like content creation and networking to build my dream life. I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I hope this video can inspire some other people out there to chase their dreams and quit that job that you fucking hate. There's one thing I learned across this entire journey. It's to bet on yourself, go all in, and follow your passion.